Alright, so at the request of my brother, I have played the new Tomb Raider. The Tomb Raider reboot by, I think, Square Enix, I think is the developer. Same guys who brought you the Final Fantasy games, which, yeah. Yeah, it's no wonder I thought Tomb Raider was mediocre, and the thing is, I really wanted to like it. I really wanted to love this game, because, especially seeing all the comparisons to the Batman Arkham games. I mean, you know how the game deposits you in this kind of open world, this very detailed open world that you gradually gain more and more access to as you unlock different gadgets and whatever. But I think the fundamental problem I have with this game, or one of the fundamental problems I have with this game, is that I was never really a Tomb Raider fan. I mean, when everyone else was playing Tomb Raider, I was playing Spyro the Dragon, and I was loving it. Except I haven't seen a good Spyro game since The Legend of Spyro. Now he's doing Skylanders, but I digress. Where to start? I mean, like I said, it's essentially a reboot of the series. It's kind of this semi-origin story, semi-revamp, as it were, where it's kind of... They're essentially trying to tell you how Lara Croft got to be the tough, female Kiwi Indiana Jones that she is. And right away, I don't know if this is true about the other games, but right away in this, it's expecting you to buy that Lara Croft, I can only assume, is some kind of superhero, because she's surviving these falls and ordeals and other perils to the extent where I'm really calling this game out on, no, if she's supposed to be a regular person, she would never survive this. And I know I'm calling out a video game on something like that, on realism. But it's true. I mean, the game really wants you to buy that she's this very vulnerable human being, but I don't really know how you can when literally near the start of the game she falls like 30 feet onto this spike, and then just gets up, holds her side for a bit, and then after a while she doesn't even notice it. I mean, she must have taken some really hardcore painkillers or something, because last time I checked, you can't be impaled in your abdomen on a spike and just kind of shake it off like that. I mean, and that's not even the worst thing, because there are numerous parts in this game where you see Lara Croft fall from heights of like 50 feet. No joke. 50 feet, and just get up and keep running. I mean, and at first I was kind of like, maybe it's the adrenaline, maybe it's really kind of trying to, maybe she's just really trying to shake these falls off in lieu of trying to stay alive. But I don't know. It's the vibe I really got from this. It was a kind of inferior game to Uncharted, which is a series of games that I've really gotten into over the past few years. I mean, Uncharted is great. I mean, if it's not my favorite PS3 series of all time, it's up there. I mean, really, I think its only serious competition is the aforementioned Batman Arkham games. But yeah, Uncharted is great. And there are a bunch of over the top stunts in that one too. But the thing is, with Nathan Drake in that one, you can just barely buy that he survives these things. I mean, they put him through basically up to the ceiling of human endurance. And the thing that struck me about Tomb Raider is that they're trying to or at least to me it seems, they're trying to out Uncharted. And that really doesn't work when Uncharted was basically the peak of human endurance, like I said, because a lot of the stunts in Tomb Raider, I'm thinking, this reminds me of Uncharted if they pushed it a little too far. Like when Lara Croft jumps from another height of 50 feet out of a burning building, or when she jumps from a height of 30 feet on a collapsing bridge, or whatever. And I keep coming back to the height thing, but it's true. I mean, it's phenomenal to me how bipolar this game is in how it wants you to see its female protagonist. I mean, all the cutscenes would lead you to believe that they want you to see her as this really vulnerable, reluctant hero. Kind of like Indiana Jones or John McClane, where they're getting kicked around, they really want to give up, and you can believe that these people have real physical and emotional limits. I mean, there are several points in this game where Lara Croft really wants to give up, particularly toward the beginning, in the rainstorm and whatever, after the shipwreck. And the story of the game is, by the way, her and her friends get shipwrecked on this island, for some reason. Oh, the game tells you, yeah, I won't spoil it, but basically, they get shipwrecked on this island, and it basically goes from a simple survival tale to stopping this evil overlord. But the thing is, aside from Lara Croft, I don't really care about any of the characters. And I think that's a big problem with a game like this, because, again, I keep going back to Uncharted, but with Uncharted, I cared about the characters besides Nathan Drake. I mean, I cared about Elena Fisher, I cared about Chloe Sullivan, I cared about Sully. I even cared about kind of the one-off characters, like in Uncharted 2, the Tibetan guy Tenzin. I cared about him. I mean, he was a really nice, likable side character. Same with Charlie Cutter in Uncharted 3. But with this Tomb Raider game, it just seems like these characters are walking, talking stereotypes. Because you got the big kind of jolly, I think he's Hawaiian, I don't know, but the big jolly guy who's fiercely loyal to his friends or whatever, who really doesn't do any of the fighting, which is ironic. You got this really abrasive African American chick who's kind of in constant competition with Lara about what they should do, and he's like, if you're not back here, I'm leaving you behind. Then there's this other New Zealand accent guy who I guess is Lara's mentor, because she's really determined to find this guy, and they have plenty of close moments, but surprise, surprise, he dies. Then there's this Asian girl who's essentially Lara's best friend, although the game leads you to believe that she's really the key to something else, but whatever. All these characters, it really seems like the writers are trying to hit all the stereotypes, kind of like Independence Day, where you have the computer nerd stereotype, the redneck stereotype, the action hero stereotype. Um, and I think with a game like Tomb Raider, you kind of have to care about the characters if you're going to all this way to save them and keep them safe. Um, and I just didn't. How can I? I mean, even Lara. She, granted, I did care about her more than I cared about the other characters, but she. It seems like every other second she's getting kicked around or kidnapped or whatever, and I'm just thinking, there's a difference between showing your character to be a genuinely vulnerable human being, and there's a difference between that and making them somewhat incompetent, like they get caught all the time. But that's enough of the story and the characters. The gameplay I actually don't mind all that much, because the first thing you get is a bow, and as you go along, I don't know why you can't just pick up weapons off of dead bodies, but you can't. As you go along, Lara kind of gets these kind of weapons, gets essentially firearms. She moves up from the bow to the firearms, which really begs the question, why does she continue to use the bow after she gets guns? I mean, I don't know, maybe she wants to use the shotgun or the pistol, or no, a lot of the time she just whips out her bow. Even in the cutscene, she just whips out her bow. I don't know. But the combat is actually not bad. Aside from the cover mechanic, which really, they really want to create this kind of seamless transition from the cover, from being in cover to being out in the open. So essentially, in a gunfight, Lara is always crouching. I mean, she's always in this kind of like half crouched position where she's kind of bent over. And when you get near cover, she doesn't really deviate from that. I mean, she doesn't really change positions. I mean, she's always low enough so that she can easily get behind cover, without really having to change much about her stance. And at first I found that a little awkward, but once you get used to it, it actually is kind of interesting. It is kind of an interesting concept that they have in terms of fluidity, and if I think if they fine tuned it a little more, maybe they would have had something really revolutionary. But as it is now, I still prefer to push a button to get into cover. Honestly, I mean, it just seems kind of like the natural response when I want to push a button to crouch down or whatever. I mean, it just seems more fluent than always crouching. But there's a lot of times where really, I don't know, I'm just used to being able to hit guys with melee weapons before, because you can't hit guys with using melee tactics until a certain point in the game where you upgrade, was it this rock climbing chisel or whatever, or this axe. And I found that to be really kind of a detriment, especially early on in the game. But all in all, Tomb Raider it's a satisfactory adventure game, but really, it's not much beyond that. I mean, it doesn't really accomplish anything major. I don't really feel that attached to the Lara Croft character, or any of the characters for that matter. Stick with Uncharted.